What's good, y'all, and welcome to my review for the first episode of Hero Waka Season 6. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, we are finally back, ladies and gentlemen. After a long time since Season 5, we are finally back with Season 6. It is finally here. I just finished the first episode, and holy fuck, this episode was fucking fun. First off, y'all know if you guys, some of y'all might know that a lot of, first off, I want to just talk this real quick. Y'all know that a lot of crazy shit's been going on with Hero Waka recently. If y'all, recently since season 5 ended, a lot of crazy shit's gone on with it. As I've been trying to duck spoilers from the manga. But yeah, shit's been crazy. A lot of batch insanities come out. Horikoshi once again got canceled like last week for the color pages on the chapter cover, which I won't get into that for spoilers if you guys don't know. But yeah, that was kind of fucking stupid. But yeah, man. Besides that, man, this episode was fucking incredible, man. The OP, the ED, Bones was going off. It's like legit. It's like Bones like saw all the people bitching and complaining about them from season 5, and they're like, "Oh, you motherfuckers don't know who we are." It was like if I felt the same way when Sam Raimi was the one came back from Multiverse. And he's like, "Oh, you motherfuckers forgot who I am. Allow me to remind you why I'm the ghost." You know, it kind of like Bones just went off with this in this episode, man. With the art animation, we got some damn good looking Sakuga with Miracle, man. Like Bones was going off on all cylinders throughout this episode, man. So much good shit. So, but one thing I want to talk about real quick before we jump right into the episode, this is kind of like me filling my quota of shitting on the Hero Waka fandom for the season. But this is just a really funny story I saw a few weeks ago that I just thought was funny I wanted to mention real quick. Is that there on Twitter there was this Hero Waka shipping poll that was going on Twitter. Just some dude, he was like held like a little poll for fun, having a bunch of like the popular ships of Hero Waka because I follow some like Izuku Naraka shipper accounts on Twitter, so I saw the poll. And you know the Yaoi ship, the two like big Yaoi ships, it was Izuku and Bakugo, and Kirishima ended up being like the final round. Kind of pissed off at that one because you guys know how I feel about these fucking Yaoi ships, but whatever. The funny thing that the poll, that whole thing wasn't what I had into where I found funny. The funny thing is that one of these fucking dumbasses, one of these Bakugo fucking Kirishima shippers straight up admitted to spending $2,000 on fucking bots so that they could win the poll. It was absolutely insane, bro. If I remember when I upload the video, I'll leave a link to Hero Hayes' video he did on this one up in the iCard if you guys want to see it for yourself, and I'll enjoy join me in laughing at these fucking idiots, bro. Like seriously, like there is so much you could have done with that $2,000 besides this shit. You could have invested that money. You could have gone to Japan and visited the Hero Walk Expo that they had like a couple years ago or whatever. Or whatever the fuck that was. There was so much you could have done with that $2,000, but other than just throwing it down. And apparently they lost the poll anyway, so they just like the money really went down the drain. It already did just from the bots, but more so, and just listen to this person bitch complain about this was just absolutely hilarious. Like I swear to God, then the retardation of Yaoi shippers never ceases to me. But anyway, that's my quota for shitting on the Hero Waka fandom. Let's jump right into the actual episode, man, because man, this episode was fucking fire, bro. Now, first thing that was interesting about this episode, that it was not a filler recap, whatever you want to call it, episode. Which this was shown off at I want to say it was like Hero Fest when we first got caught wind of this, because they premiered I think the first and maybe the second episodes of season 6 there. And then that's when it was like, oh, they're not doing a filler episode this season. And of course, the episode dropped, and it was confirmed that there's not going to be a season starting filler episode, which I am obviously extremely happy about. Now, you guys know, I mentioned this in previous reviews, that I don't inherently hate filler. Most of the time, I think the episodes are harmless, and they're usually, and I ended up enjoying them, and they're usually harmless, and I don't really mind them that much. That's just me personally. I'm probably in the minority because you ask anyone else, they have a broad time they despise filler. But you guys also know that when season 5 started airing with that first episode, you guys know I mentioned this a few times in my review of the first episode of season 5 that I was starting to get a little sick and tired of the fucking filler of the season starting recap filler. You know that they were starting to overstay their welcome a little bit. And I'm glad Bones started to probably realize this too, and just given where the manga is currently, it was going to be very hard for them to even fit one in, that I'm glad that Bones realized this and they stopped while they were still ahead, instead of keep doing this, beating into the ground until I just straight up hate these episodes. They were like, okay, let's just stop now and just go right into the thing like we did with season 2. So that was good to see. I was really glad to see. Now we did get recap of like the basic gist of the stories of men, mostly season 5. Um, at the start of the episode, which nothing too wrong there. It's been a minute since season 5 finished airing, so whatever. So after we got through the initial recap of basically season 5 and kind of some more general stuff, we then saw the OP, which I mentioned this in my reaction, because I recorded, because as soon as I saw that the trailer, the PV was mostly from episode 1, and I was like, oh, I got to react to this, because this was a first season Hero Walk episode since season 2, where the season started without a filler episode or a recap episode. I was like, okay, I got to do this. And, what we saw from the PV looked really great. So let's talk about the OP. This OP is fucking incredible, man. Like, this is easily one of my favorite OPs of the series so far. Now, visually, this is easily the best one. Easily, because this one takes so much from comic books. Would you guys know that is the biggest inspiration for Horikoshi with Hiroaka was American comic books, most predominantly Marvel, obviously, and a little bit DC. He's thrown in some DC references here and there, but you know that a lot of it of Hiroaka comes from Marvel, man. Comes from Marvel, comes from Stan Lee, comes from Spidey. You guys know. So, like, you already started with, like, the title. It's very comic book-esque, very 90s with, like, the big, like, 3D thing, and then you got the onomatopoeia things or whatever. Then we get to see the actual visuals. Oh, my fucking... Now, Bones showed up a couple of screenshots of the OP a little bit before the episode started airing, and I saw a couple more once the episode first started airing in Japan, because I was staying up late last night watching Super Pets, because it finally was on HBO Max. I had finished all my homework. I wanted to watch it early in the day, but the homework didn't take any longer, so I watched Super Pets late at night before I went to bed, and before I was going to watch season 6. So, the movie's great, by the way, way better than it has any right to be. I wouldn't say it's anywhere near as good as Spider-Verse, but it was almost as shocking as when we saw Spider-Verse. We're like, oh shit, this is like way better than what any of us expected. But anyway, I love the art style of this OP. It's very, you can see that once again, very much stuff by our comic books. It reminds me a lot of The Reflection. If any of y'all remember that anime that Stan Lee did back in 2017 that went head to head with Hiroaka Season 2, which I actually did review as well while I was reviewing Hiroaka Season 2. Wouldn't recommend you guys go back and watch this review. The audio quality, those are fucking terrible, so I wouldn't even bother. But the art style reminded me a lot of how the Reflection look, although this one looks way better than the Reflection look. This one looks way better of that art style, but yeah, the art style is very inspired by American comic books. You got the whole onomatopoeia things, and it just looks incredible, bro. Todoroki, Izuku, Bakugo, all the boys looks incredible, man. We get some screenshots of Shigaraki, which I wouldn't be surprised. These are just straight up like panels from the manga that Bones kind of threw in here, because there was a couple times they used panels. I wouldn't be surprised if these were like legitimate panels from the manga that they sort of like redraw and redone into this art style. But it looks really fucking cool, man. You got that, a bunch of the different characters. You got, of course, got Endeavor, who was like immediately is followed by Dabi. After Endeavor, Dabi immediately falls after him, and it cuts directly to him. And then, of course, we see in the ED with Dabi and Endeavor, definitely added to the suspicion that Dabi is Toya, which we haven't got confirmed, but I'm pretty sure Dabi is Toya. That's my prediction, which I'm probably right. Then, of course, we get this one shot of Hawks that we saw in the PV, and then I did see the manga that I did see from the manga, because it was one on one of Chibi's thumbnails, bro. Ooh, this scene. This is like the one scene I'm looking for. I don't know what happened to the scene. I just seen the panel of Hawks just looking ominously in the front of the door, bro. And from the PV, this is going to be a hype moment of season 6 whenever we get to this part of the episode, which followed by Twice. So I'm not going to spoil what happens in it, but I do know what this means a little bit, at least what it's referring to. So we got that. We, of course, got some more Shigaraki. Then we got more Bakugo and Izuku and Todoroki before it goes more to the traditional Hiroaka art style and Kiso. And then we, of course, get the final like big shot of all the heroes swooping into action, bro. Just like, I love the art style of this OP, man. Seriously, whoever directed this OP, man, at Bones, give that man a raise. He did a phenomenal job, man. I love the art style of it. The song is great as well. But yeah, the visuals of this OP is easily the best of the entire series, man. This OP fucking slaps. Oh, and one other thing about the OP that I thought was interesting is that we see Toga in the OP rocking her normal school outfit and kind of like ripping something off, which I thought was very interesting on what this, because so we might be getting a little bit more of an expansion of her backstory in this season. Looks like we might be getting something more with her, because that's kind of interesting on what that whole thing could mean. If that means we're gonna get a little, maybe we might get a little more backstory why she decided to like kill off her entire school or something. But that I feel like that whole thing of like that red like that red fabric thing she's rips off, she's holding, it means something. I feel like we're going to get a little bit more expansion on Toga's backstory. We'll probably get a little bit more of that one. That's at least what I'm suspecting happening, because I don't know why else why this scene would be in the OP otherwise, but I think we're probably going to get expansion on Toga's backstory sometime in this season. So then we get back into the actual episode itself. Now we finally get to the actual good stuff. So we start off the episode about a month before, I'm guessing, where season 5 ended, I am assuming, where Hawks is talking with some guys from Carmine, which I wouldn't be surprised if some sort of reference to Carmine Falcone, who you guys know from the Batman mythos, because we know Horikoshi loves comics. And then Twice kind of like beckons to him into because he needs his help, and so we would find out that he needs a credo. That Twice needs a credo. And we kind of figure out what's been going on with the League of Villains and the Parallel Liberation Front, how it's kind of like organized. We find out that Compress and Spinner has been having constant meetings with Redestro and the other guys from his team. We find out a little bit more what some of the other members of the League of Villains are doing. Although one thing that got interesting is that he says Toga is so cute. Once again, kind of adding more fuel to that fire to the ship of those two men. And then of course we see, I think it was either in the ED or the next episode preview, we saw some stuff between Toga and Twice in there. So yeah, we got that, man, and then of course we find so then we kind of get a reason, find out why Twice needs to do it, and one of the higher ups who straight up, I don't know about y'all, but this dude straight up looks like the Führer from FMA. Like legit, like the mustache, the hair, he looks in the outfit mostly. He looks very similar to the Führer from FMA, which I just found out that actually the manga from that the next work that the manga of FMA is working on is now start publishing. Just found out about that like a couple days ago, so I gotta get started reading on that manga. I might start doing reaction to chapter reaction to that series as well. I might add that one because it's from the same manga as FMA. You guys know FMA is my favorite anime series, so might add that one there. And plus, I've been doing Kubo's next work. I did Kishimoto when he did Samurai 8. I've been doing Chojin X. Next I would do FMA as well, because you guys know how much I love that fucking series. But anyway, back to the episode. Just wanted to quickly mention that. So yeah, he kind of he does like an impression of, he's like, there are so many troops who are distrustful of us. Even if you're just a figurehead, they should hear the credo from you directly. And then Twice, to get out of the situation because he didn't know what to say, he straight up just told him, I gotta take a shit. He didn't say all that, of course. He said, I gotta take a dump, but same thing. He gotta take a shit to get the fuck out of there. So now he's basically asking Hawks to give him something to figure out how to help him with like his little credo. So what Hawks ended up coming, well, first of all, before we figure out what Hawks tells him, we get a little bit more information on how the Paranormal Liberation Front has now been divided. It's been sectioned up into like, I think it was like 3 or 4 regimes. We have the Vanguard Action Tactical regime, which I'm just going to call Team Black, because they have like black right next to it, so I'm assuming that's like the shorthand of them. This is Team Black, Team Violet, Team Brown, which this is the one that Twice is one. This is one that Twice is with. Team Violent is called the Vanguard Action Guerrilla Warfare Regime. This is with Dobby and the Ice Climber. Then we have Carmine, which is with the guy with the laptop guy from Registro's team in Toga. And then of course we got the last team, Team Brown, the Vanguard Action Support Regime, which is headed up by Spinner and Mr. Compress. So we have that. And then we get a little bit more about Hawks, and we get like a little tease of his backstory, or we find out that he doesn't know the complete operations of like the safety committee, and he says that the only thing really he's only been able to get an idea of the whole structure thanks to the negotiation skills that they drilled into him when he was a kid. Now this, I'm assuming, is referring to what we saw in the, I believe, second ED of season 4, where we saw that little bit of Hawks when he was a kid, like training with his wings, which so far we still have not gotten anything of Hawks' backstory in the actual anime stuff. I don't know if the manga's done this at all yet, but hopefully we'll get to see a little bit more of Hawks' backstory and kind of how he got with the safety regime, the safety committee, and how that'll go and get a little bit more context behind that picture we saw in season 4. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a little more context with that one. That was interesting. So anyway, Hawks then says that he felt a lot of like nothing but like contempt and resentment towards the current system from that. So then we finally then Hawks gives Twice the credo, where he says, like the individual's freedoms reign supreme, and existing structure should be destroyed, or he's like, and then another one he gives off is one must be completely devoted to Reed Destro, and we were able to unite all of this because of him and his blood. And then Hawk, and then Twice says, I don't want to say something I don't mean. Which I thought was funny. So he ended up deciding just to praise him, and then Hawks leaves. So that was pretty funny. Or not Hawks twice leaves. That was pretty funny. So then we kind of get a little bit more background on the Paranormal Liberation Front's overall mission is, which is of course destroying the annihilation of the entire system, Hero Society, and how Reed Destro is going to be infiltrating through politics, disrupting weapons, and then getting rid of the frames of self-defense, and then basically it's nothing but then it's just complete utter chaos and just to destruct Japan. Hawkson says in other words, it's the second coming of All for One, and it will really be the end of Japan. And so. And then Twice thanks Hawks again for being so nice to him, and then Hawks says that when he found out that he could overcame his trauma and now can clone himself, which we saw at the end of season 5 during MDA, that he trembled with fear that Twice went from being a petty criminal to probably the one person that they needed to be the most careful of because of course of his powers. So that's gonna be interesting when we get to later on in the season. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Because I saw one of the manga volume covers, and that's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, we then get some more of Hawks and Twice's interactions when they're inside this room. Which, by the way, I gotta say, I've been loving Hawks and Twice's interaction. I'm loving it. I love these two. These characters have have a lot of good chemistry with each other, and I love these two men. Their interactions have been pretty good so far. So then we see Hawks and Twice meet up in this office room. Hawks has a bunch of shit written on a whiteboard, and Twice is like, "Hey man, you're a hero. You know so much of the Liberation Army." He's like, and he asks him why, and he's like, "Oh, I can relate. I'm the world I lived." The world I envisioned once, I dreamed of once, was a bird cage, and I want to be free. Which has to be a record for most cliches in a single sentence, going on I felt as though I've been imprisoned in a cage and I want to fly free. I feel like I've heard that shit 15 times before, and that isn't a diss towards Horikoshi. I'm sure Horikoshi wrote it like that way on purpose. I'm just saying for Hawks, that's got to be the most cliched sentence I've ever heard. But anyway. So then Twice goes on about you're a good guy. I wish you could get to meet Shigaraki already, so I don't have to so I can end your surveillance. And he's like, oh, you know what? And Hawks, I'm like, oh yeah, what happened? I've been meeting to him. What's going on? He's like, oh, he's getting stronger. He's off in the mountains. He's off in the mountains, getting stronger for 4 months, but obviously off the book. So Twice just spills the beans of what's been going on with Shigaraki casually, and he's like, oh, the dude probably has the place bugged, but who cares? And then Hawk says this a couple times in the episode, that he knows that Twice is a good-natured person, which he is. We've seen that before in the previous episodes. He just wants a place to belong. Like legit. Twice is legit like a mixture between Deadpool and Joker. Joker from the whole one bad thing just kind of turned his whole life upside down. Of course, Deadpool with the comedy, the look, and everything. It's like you can see, like I said, you can already see the mismatch of characters with Horikoshi and his love of comics. But anyway. So then, after Hawks and Twice meet, we then see the episode card. Now, I don't typically talk about the episode cards, but I gotta mention it here. The episode cards and the commercial cards, Bones went off on these, bro. These episode cards are easily the best in the entire series, bro. These episode cards look fucking great. And then we reach the infamous panel, where Horikoshi got canceled over a fucking name. Yeah, but if you guys don't remember, back when this first aired in the manga, there was Horikoshi. I don't know why. This dude got so much backlash over the name of the fucking doctor. Yeah, apparently it was because about some Japanese World War II scientists that did experiments on prisoners of war or whatever. Jesus Christ, the shit, I swear, it's like people just want to castle Horikoshi. And these are from quote-unquote fans of the series. I don't even question their fan, but anyway, I've ranted about the fandom enough, and I want to keep this video under an hour, so I'll stop my rant there, but you guys already know I've bitched and complained about the fandom enough time, but yeah. This is when we finally got that infamous panel where they revealed his name, which is Dr. Garaki Kuyada, if I'm pronouncing that right, which I forget if that's the original name or the name they changed it to, because I'm pretty sure they ended up having to change the name because of what happened with that. I don't remember completely, but yeah, that's his name. Anyway, we then find out we get a little more backstory on him and that how he touted regional medical care based on quirks, and then he opened up orphanages and nursing homes across the country and partnered with other hospitals and clinics, and that he's a bit whimsical, but people accepted him and respected him. So then we find out that the hero that we have the captain or whatever, the police chief we see in the episode series all the time, working with All Might. He's basically giving the briefing on how they're going to open up this mission, and that they're bringing everyone in. And we find some little extra photos of what they found from the hospital. That there's also like a secret basement that nobody knows that no one knows what's for, and that's access only through the morgue, and no one has access to it. But of course, Dr. Karaki. And then, of course, we get some pictures. We find that there's a little Nomu going on there. So, yeah. And then we see some of the heroes, like, suiting up. We see President Mike, like I don't know what he is. Like, I don't know, what is that? Like some sort of spray in his mouth. It's probably to, like, clear out his throat, making sure that it's cool. Because, I'm sure it's doing all the screaming. Probably, like, gives him strep throat or something is, like, his weakness when he uses his corn too much or whatever. So, anyway, they get the heroes ready. We found they're going to be split. The heroes are going to split into two teams. Team Endeavor and Edgeshot. Endeavor is going to be going after the actual hospital and going over for the basement, while Edgeshot is going to go over for the Paranormal Liberation Front's actual HQ. They're going to be doing this at the same time to hopefully get rid of this entire force in one fell swoop, which obviously we know won't happen because this is only the first episode. But that's their plan. And of course, mention that they'll have hero students joining in there for getting crowd control and all that shit, and getting civilians out and evacuated. So then that's when we go with Team Edgeshot's crew. We see, which first of all, I gotta say, this had to have been a pain in the ass for both Horikoshi in the manga, and whatever poor sap that Studio Bones had to draw this for the anime, having to draw all these heroes, bro. Shout outs to them, bro. I do not envy their job, bro. Seriously, this had to have been a pain in the ass to draw all these characters. But anyway, so we see Edgeshot. We get some panning shots of all the different heroes that are going to be joining in with them. We see that we have some of Class A and Class B on the front lines of this team, where we have Fungus Chick and the guy that can like soften stuff. So obviously, Shrooms Girl is a little scared of this whole situation, and then Midnight goes in there to try and comfort her, telling them that they have so much power now that it's past the point where only they'll be in trouble. And then she grabs her hand and says, "Don't worry, we just want you to help out a little bit at the beginning, and after that, you guys are going to be going at the rear right afterwards." Which we already know they're going to be just there for like getting civilians out there. Doubtful any of these characters are going to get much fighting. And of course, we know Isaku and those guys, they're going to get all the fighting. Or who knows? Maybe it all goes to shit. We'll have to find out next week, because that fucking cliffhanger was bullshit. But anyway, so after that, we then switch right into Kaminari, where he's screaming his head off, being like, "Wait, why am I at the very front? I miss everyone. I miss Class A," which was kind of funny. So then we see a bunch of the other members of Class A, along with the good chunk of Class B. They're all the way in the forest, and then Kirishima asks, kind of wondering like why it's just Kaminari and Tokoyami that were on the front. Momo explains because of their quartz, and the two other people there are good for long range attacks, so they can definitely help with helping getting rid of a bunch of their forces all at once during the surprise attack. So then after that, we then head over to Endeavor, where he asked them, where he asked if it was he the one that like was able to section down the actual hospital, and the deed was all done to Hawks. Was it all him? And which I'm assuming that's what he referred, because he said it was him, wasn't it? Like, and whereas I'm assuming he's referring to Hawks. And the cat police dude says that's classified, which I thought was pretty funny. And so then we see Hawk, and then right after that we see some civilians. They're walking around the street. They're like, "Hey, there aren't any heroes around here. There's usually always someone around." They're like, "Yeah." So then there's like one hero. It's Sliding Gun, the guy that we know is also a part of the Paranormal Liberation Front. Where then he is grabbed by, I think the dude's name was like Death Arms or something. Yeah, Death Arms. And he says, "Hey, you're the only one who doesn't know. Traitorous liberation devotee." And the look this dude gives him, man, and like then you got Sliding Gun, he's like shitting his pants, man. So yeah, he's obviously going to be caught, and he's definitely going to be taken in for questioning. And then that's when, of course, we finally get over to Team Endeavor's group, and we finally see Izuku and the boys. So then once we're with the Endeavor's crew, obviously, we see Bakugo and the others. Bakugo, he's like, damn it, why am I not on the front lines? Why am I support? And Toro's like, bro, you only have provisional licenses. So Bakugo doing his thing. Izuku's talking with Uraraka, kind of getting everyone getting pumped up and making sure they're all on the mission. So then we see Endeavor and his crew straight up just walk through the front door. I was shocked, like, y'all are gonna barge into the front door. I thought they were gonna come in from, like, sneak up on them from, like, the ceiling or something, just like come down from there, not just walk into the front door. But they walk into the front door. One of the workers working at the hospital instantly recognizes, like, hey, Endeavor, this way. He tells Mirko to go over to the morgue, and then of course they just start marching through the hospital as the doctor is just like, all is good. Shigaraki will be done in a month. He's thinking he's got this shit in the bag, and the look on this dude's face, oh, this was so satisfying, bro. The look on this dude's face, the pants-shitting terror on this man's face as soon as Endeavor calls to this man, bro. Yo. This man was all, and he was like, is this you? Are you the maker of the Nomus and the one and all for one's right-hand man? And then this dude's face, bro, this man knew. This was the face of a man that knew he done fucked up. He is regretting his entire life up to this point. He is shitting his pants and just the sheer terror of all this. He says, accept your fate, pawn of the devil. And the shot of Endeavor, and as if you didn't come enough from that one shot and that dial. Then we see the fucking commercial cards. Bro, Bones, why you going so hard, bro? Like I said, it's like Bones felt disrespected by all the shit they had to put up with and all the bitching and complaining from the mangas from season 5. It's almost like they felt disrespected and wanted to put you motherfuckers in your place or something. I don't know what that, but like Bones, because you don't go this hard unless you felt disrespect. I mentioned the same thing in my review for Heroes Rising. I was thinking of the movies, which you guys will be getting. I mentioned this before in previous videos, but in case you guys did not know, I'll be reviewing World Heroes Mission in December. I already got the Blu-ray and everything. I pre-ordered the steelbook from Best Buy, but it came in like the day, like actually 2 days before it came, before it was actually supposed to officially release. It came in 2 days, but that was the same day where we had to move back to HSU, so I wasn't able to watch it or unbox it for you guys. But when I get back home, I'll review it for you guys, and we'll get the review out for that. So look forward to that in December. Anyway. I mentioned in my review for Heroes Rising that how hard Bones went off with the animation, the backgrounds, and everything. And I mentioned bro, you don't go that hard unless you felt disrespect. I was mentioning about how because everyone was gassing up Demon Slayer and everyone was acting like Bones wasn't shit anymore. It's like Bones had to went out there and remind everyone like, hey, we are the ghost motherfuckers, and don't you forget about it. I don't know, bro, but these commercial cards look absolutely insane, bro. We see Izuku and Endeavors, and just like, I don't know what all this kanji is. I'm assuming these are like from manga text text bubbles from the manga, but it just looks insane in the fucking resolution of these fucking character portraits. I mean, Jesus, those portraits are extra crisp. Anyway, then we when we quickly go over to Fumi and Natsuo. They're like, and we found that Endeavor called them, telling them they're not gonna be able to contact them for a while because of because of the mission. And like, and then the dude and Natsuo says, I hope it doesn't end up like Kushio. So then when we got back from the commercial, and then we just got them, I was like, bro, I don't give a fuck about this. Give me back to Endeavor. Give me back to the good shit. But we ended up getting back to Endeavor right afterwards. And once again, the pants-shitting terror on this man's face is insane, bro. So he obviously starts trying to run away. But Aizawa trips him up with his tape, which, bro, the second I saw Aizawa and Present Mike get near this guy, I was like, oh, what's gonna happen now? Because we know what happened to them with season 5 and their friends. So he trips him up. He instantly uses his erasure cork on him, and the dude starts aging like 100 years. He looks like he's like fucking 105 years old or something, bro. His eyes are completely sunken in and shit. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. And so then they kind of assume that maybe this quirk that he has, it's kind of like stopped his aging or whatever, is probably the secret to the quirk of why All For One has had such a long life. So as they're slowly marching towards him, as this dude is trying to crawl away from him. Yo, the way this was shot was brilliant, man. Shout out to the director for this episode. And I'm pretty sure this is also horticulture because it's probably sure how this was shot in manga. But shout out to that, man. This is an amazing shot. As they're going on, you offer the technology to All For One, then President Mike put his hand on his shoulder. At this point, I'm like, fam, you about to die. Your face is finna get melted off by his voice. That's what I thought was gonna happen. So he says, that's amazing. Stuff like that, regenerative medicine. It's like you use it in that way. It's like a hybrid sheet. And just the way he just looks, man. He's not even really looking at him. He's just kind of just staring out there. He's like, and just, oh my god. Shout out to the director of this episode, man. They did an amazing job with the layouts. Seriously, the storyboard artist, this whole episode looked amazing, man. And also, shout out to both. The OST in this episode was also fantastic as well. So, he then finally grabs him and then he says, why are you using it like that? Why are you using it like that, old man? What the hell? And this is when he finally breaks. He says, what the hell did you do to my friend, old man? And you can actually, because he's screaming so loud, you can actually see his glasses start to crack up a little bit. Which, bro, this was awesome. And then for some inexplicable reason, these two random-ass doctors just show out of nowhere and be like, hey, don't use violence. What you say the doctor was like, but bro, do you know who this man is? Why the fuck you stopping them, bro? they are here on a mission, bro. Why are you doing this, man? Anyway, so they obviously, some of the other heroes finally escort them out, and they're like, hey, what's going on? He says, I can't tell you right now. So then, anyway. So then Aizawa tells them that right now the heroes are evacuating people from the hospitals, and that from the Nomus they have to be given specific orders for them to actually work. Otherwise, they're just corpses basically. So then after that, and then he says the many people you toyed with and abandoned have said. And then that's when Aizawa pulls off his glass and says, now it's our turn to take from you, bro. I fucking love this show, man. This is fucking awesome. This is peak fiction here, right, bro? This is peak fiction. So then the dude just starts begging for forgiveness. I'm like, fam, we are far beyond forgiveness at this point. And that's when we find out that it was a trap. Because then Mariko mentions that there's something moving. We see all these Nomus coming towards her. We then come back to the hospital. This drill Nomu comes out of the floor and basically kind of like hits the doctor. And then we find out that Erasure does not get rid of duplicates even after the Erasure Core was activated. So that's nice to know. He basically kind of like gloats at them, and we found that the doctor that they arrested was indeed a fake. Was one of Twice's doubles. Also, we also see like the police's like control center as they're like working through this operation. Gotta say, it looked fucking cool. Love the look of that place. That they're all like, oh, they're 97% of the patients are evacuated. It just looked really cool. Reminded me of Ghost in the Shell. Anyway, back to where I was. So then we find out that the doctor was a duplicate from Twice, and then he vanishes. Then a bunch of other Nomus start popping out of the ground, and obviously Endeavor starts facing up against the drill Nomu. Then we cut back to the actual doctor, Yoshigaraki. He goes on about how invested and engrossed he is with his masterpiece, and then he like runs over to his chair. No gonna lie. First off, I gotta say I love the doctor's lair. It looks so cool, but I'm low-key jealous of the man's chair because this man sits in his chair, it turns around and like zooms him to like the other side of the lair. Gotta say, I wish I had a chair like that could just take me wherever around my room. That'd just be cool, man. That'd just be really fucking cool. Anyway, he gets to the second part then we get to see another part of his lair where he mentions all about like I would abandon this hospital. Do you know how much time and effort it took to spend to store up all these quirks and everything? Blah 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 blah. Now, one thing that I found kind of interesting, this is something Chibi mentioned in his review that I watched right before I started recording, because he uploaded right after I finished the episode, is that he mentions about the new lore we found out about the quirks and how the dude's been storing quirks, and we see all these quirks and just like how long it takes them to cultivate these quirks, to copy these quirks, and to even get these quirks to begin with. And then we see all these quirks in like these jars, these like jars with liquids in them. This obviously begs the question. Now, I'm sure the manga readers already have discussed about this and theorized about this, but I thought, fuck it, why not? Let's add this. Let's have a little food for thought. Because if I remember correctly, my memory serves me correct. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Wasn't the doctor the same doctor that Izuku saw when he told him that he didn't have a quirk? Now, obviously, with all the quirks he has compiled over the years, the fact he has orphanages and where he probably steals their and like nursing homes where he probably stole their quirks as well. Did he steal Izuku's original quirk? Did Izuku originally have a quirk that the doctor took from him? I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt because obviously if he did, that begs the question. Will Izuku get it back at the end of the series? And I don't think Horikoshi is, especially with how many powers we know lives within One for All. I doubt Horikoshi is gonna be like, oh, by the way, Izuku did have a core beforehand, and here you go. I don't think that Horikoshi is gonna like give Izuku even more, make him even more overpowered by giving him his original quirk if he did have one, and the Doctor took it from him. I don't think it's it. But then again, we're nearing the end. The manga's nearing the end of it, so he might say, "Fuck it, we're doing it." I don't know, but that's definitely an interesting theory and some interesting speculation. If indeed the Doctor did take Izuku's quirk, if he originally had one when originally. I don't know. Thought that was interesting. I'm sure the manga readers have already like theorized and speculated on this to death by this point, but I thought I'd throw my hat into the ring. But anyway. So he grabs all this jar. He talks to one of the Nomos that I'm assuming does like that rapping, that warping, teleporting thing that we see in season 3 and other seasons. And he's like, okay, get me and Shigaraki out of here. And then right as he's sitting there holding a handful of like these quirk jars, bam! Miriko comes out busting through the door after we got that God tier Sakuga with her. You guys already know that part of the episode fucking slap. Highlighted the episode, man. Loved it. Miriko's awesome. Badass. She comes busting into the door. Hey, are you the real one? And that's where the episode ends, bro. Bro, no lie, I was fucking pissed off at this. I'm like, bro, you can't end the episode here. You cannot end the episode here. This is too hot. I need to know what's going on. Come on, bro. You can't do me like this, Bones. But yeah, that's where the episode ends. Now let's quickly go over the ED. Now, of course, the one thing part of this ED that was easily my favorite part of the ED is the part where they compare Izuku and Shigaraki. Where we see Shigaraki back at the start of season 5, at least right after he killed his parents, where he's all alone by himself, and then it transitions to Izuku when he was a kid, light all around, and Shigaraki when he was a kid before his quirk activated, covered in darkness, obviously showing off the duality of these two characters. I already went in depth in this in my review of that episode, season 5, so that was really cool to see that in this ED. I kind of even did that with the thumbnail as well, so that was pretty cool to see. I like that. That was pretty cool to see. That got a pop out of me. But that part of the ED was really well done. That was probably like what people on my favorite part, one of my favorites. And then of course transitions to when Izuku and Shigaraki are both heroes and villains. They're both like where they are now. So that was cool. Then we get this interesting shot of Uraraka. When Uraraka's by herself, solo imposing on Uraraka, she like feels something, hears something. She turns around and we see like this paper fabric thing before it transitions instantly into Toga and Twice. Now, could this be tying into what we saw on the OP with Toga, and we might get to see some, because I know Toga and Uraraka are going to have an interaction somewhere in this season. I saw a manga panel or something, so they're obviously going to have some sort of interaction or face-off in this season. So that could be referring to that. Probably, we'll have to wait and see on that. But then, of course, the big one we see that we see Dabi put his hand over a poster of Endeavor before he burns it, and a flower appears for a split second before it goes right into him burning off the poster. Obviously, adding more fuel to the fire that Dabi is Toya. No confirmation, but it seems like everything's pointing that he is indeed Toya. And then, one interesting thing is that the show starts firing some death flags, where we see a piece of Gran Torino's cape flying off in the distance. That is obviously very concerning. So now this has two meanings I can think of. Either A, this is kind of like foreshadowing or kind of saying that we might see Gran Torino ends up dying in this season. I don't know, but that's possible. Or this could be set up to what happens to Izuku's design, which we'll see in, I believe, season 7 when Izuku goes solo. So that could be referring to like the next major arc is what that is, because Izuku does have like this wears like this yellow cape around him during that arc. So that could be referring to that. Doubtful, but maybe, who knows? I'm kind of concerned because this seems like it's waving around some Gran Torino death flags. But yeah. Anyway, guys, that is the end of the episode. Overall, phenomenal episode, amazing episode, legendary episode. Can't wait for next week, man. And it's good to be back reviewing Hero Waka again. You guys know I'll be reviewing Bleach as well. So definitely look forward to that one. And I think 2 weeks is when Bleach starts airing. So yeah, Look forward to that. We got Bleach coming. We're gonna be doing that in Hirawaka. And yeah, man, this season is gonna be fire, bro. I'm gonna be reacting to Chainsaw Man and Spy Family on my Twitter. So guys, follow me on Twitter if you guys want to see those. And yeah, man, I'm gonna be busy. I'm gonna be a busy man and got a lot of content for you guys on YouTube and Twitter for you guys for fall 2022. So definitely follow me so definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and follow me on Twitter because there'll be some good shit coming along. Anyway, guys, overall, my final grade for this episode is going to be a 10 out of fucking 10, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you're links in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.